I don't know what all this dust is. Y'all gotta excuse me for keep rubbing my face like this. I feel like it's dust on my face and this ain't gonna work. Somebody put in the comments, go get an air filter for the studio. Passion public service announcement. Passionate. Let me tell you something.
So what is this Passion PSA podcast? Who am I? Well, they call me Passion, short for passion no last necessary. Why is there no last name necessary? Because the first name says it all. I am Passion and all that embodies. What do I do here? I give you the life coaching that you know you need, but don't enroll yourself in. When did I start? Actually, 2017. I'd leave a PSA on my Instagram regarding something I'd observed, and now we've evolved to this. Why do I do it? Why not? If even one person is able to take away one thing that changes their life, someone else's life, or changes the world for the better, then I've done what I was charged to do. So come on in, sit and listen for a while. There's something here for everyone at the Passion PSA podcast.
Greetings and salutations, my beloved Passionates, newcomers, visitors, and guests. Welcome to another episode of the Passion PSA podcast, where I, passion no last necessary, your get you right guru, issue a weekly public service announcement about whatever I've observed or was on my mind. This is a for your consideration zone where the objective is to offer you a perspective you may not have previously considered to A, expand your thinking, and B, aid you in becoming a better version of yourself for yourself and for others. This is a safe space, but not necessarily a delicate one. I'll never rob you of your right to feel what you feel. Same way I won't sugarcoat the truth to make it more palatable. The goal is to get you to higher, more expanded thinking so you can operate as your highest and best self. If you're new here, we start each episode with affirmations, roughly 60 seconds, so that we can intentionally raise the vibration and ensure that if what I say, if it stings you, if it disturbs you, if it gets on your nerves, if it makes you mad, that we started high enough that even if you do come down, you still land on a higher vibration. This way we can all start on the same frequency, okay? So if you're ready, go ahead and take a deep breath. You are always welcome to repeat after me or to use this time to state your own affirmations. I make good decisions. I make intentional decisions today. I understand the decisions I make today set the tone for the rest of my life. I intentionally shift from can't to choose not to. I understand that health is and always was true wealth. I value and protect my mental health. I value and protect my emotional health. I value and protect my spiritual health. I value and protect my physical health. I understand that all four components of health are critical to well-adjusted functioning. I understand that mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health are the four components that work together for my good. It may be challenging, but I am up for the challenge. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. It is well, and well is all. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Okay, so first of all, Passionates, if you're wondering what it is that my hoodie says to the good, what is it? For the good of all and to the harm of none, I am unapologetically dope. And I am. Shout out to Harlem Girls for this dope sweatshirt. She does make custom sweatshirts. She makes custom bags. She hand paints the bags. She also has a clothing line. So if you are interested in getting custom apparel, reach out to her. I'll drop her link below. No, this is not sponsored. I just felt like giving my sister a shout out because I love my hoodie. This hat was also from Harlem Girls, but it was a gift from somebody. And unfortunately, in the transit time to get to me, because I was out sick, it was a Christmas gift. I was out sick for so long, the brim got a little bit bent. But I ain't mad though. I feel like it gives it a little bit of character. What you think? So I'm all Harlem girled out today, but I'm a Bronx chick all day. Let's go. Stop playing. So, all right. Getting into this episode, let's talk about some things. Okay, Passionate. So first, I know some of you may be wondering why the episode post time has been inconsistent. And that's not actually me being irresponsible. While I do still want the episode up on Tuesday, I like the interaction that a premiere allows. If I schedule a premiere, everyone present during the premiere can chat live in the comment section so that I can get your feedback in real time. The interesting thing is that YouTube has not been sending out notifications to some of you. Now, I know some of you just forget, but there are others who aren't getting their notifications, and they're also unable to comment on the episodes. I'm working behind the scenes to rectify that, or at least identify why it's happening. But in the meantime, I'm playing with different times to premiere to allow more of you to be present for the premiere. With my work schedule, I can actively participate with the least potential for interruption early in the day. So in the meantime, I'm looking for a happy medium, but if I can't find one, we'll go back to Tough Talk Tuesdays at 12 because I'm a theme person and themes make things stick for me. And if you're on lunch and you can tune in, that's fantastic. And if you're not, the episode will still be there when you clock out. This episode is going up particularly late because I already planned to put it up this evening. However, it conflicted with a class that I had scheduled at this time. And then there was tiers to the class. So for the tier that I was in, I wasn't going to be able to watch the replay. So I had to catch it right then. So I know that that's like, oh, well, that's a little bit unprofessional. Bear with me. I'm doing this by myself and I'm doing the best that I can. So I'm just being transparent so that you know what time it really is. And I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, I know the episode is going up kind of hella late, but it's going up on Tuesday. Bet that. So anyway, next, as I was going over the all episodes playlist, I noticed something that I would have completely overlooked. Uh-oh. This is our 50th episode of Passion PSA Podcast. I just wanted to take a moment to celebrate that. Thank you all for rocking with me thus far. And make sure you stay planted because we're just getting started. There's plenty more podcasts and passion antics on the way. And that brings me to my third point. I know I keep giving you all these teasers about the new content that's upcoming. And I know you're probably like, okay, when is it going to get here? Sit tight, beloveds. We are in production and post-production right now. Bree and I, you'll meet Bree soon, we were actually headed out to shoot recently. So we're in the elevator. It stops on another floor and an older gentleman boards. And he's looking and looking and looking for his destination floor. And finally, he finds it and then he blames it on age. So we all smile, we chuckle. And then I respond and I say, well, you know what? Aging is a privilege. To which he responds with a grimace, a slight head turn, and says something to the effect of, not really. So Bree and I look at each other, but I end the engagement there. When we've all exited the elevator and it's just me and Bree, I let her know that her face was talking in the elevator, so let me in on the conversation. She knows me well. So she said, well, I was just waiting because I knew that you would have some kind of feedback for his remark. And I did. And I do. Passionate, most of us make decisions that only serve the right now. And there was a time when we could make these kinds of decisions with repercussion, but reserved retribution. What do I mean by that? I mean, there may not have been a way to escape the consequence of our decision, but there was a lot more empathy. A lot of that was directly related to the fact that either the empathizers also didn't know there would be repercussions, or they didn't know the potential severity. So when it reached that point, the retribution and condemnation was minimized and the focus was on the empathy because the individual was going through something. And I know it's ugly to kick someone when they're down. I recently had to point that out to someone who recognized a shift in one of their relationships, but they didn't realize that they're reprimanding and they're scolding at the lowest point of this person's low was kicking them when they were down. And they probably didn't recognize the behavior as such because that wasn't necessarily the intention. If you've given someone advice, whether it's solicited or unsolicited, welcomed or unwelcomed, if they chose to disregard what you said and now they're walking through the valley of the shadow of death because they didn't heed wise counsel, whose fault is that? So while they may want sympathy or empathy, you may not feel that that's what they deserve. Now, whether that's right or wrong, that's subjective. Everybody knows who doesn't deserve what from them because of that. But most people don't ever feel like they're undeserving of empathy, compassion, and concern when they've acted in similar ways. A lot of that is because people refuse to see the parallels in behaviors. If it's not the exact same thing, then they get real deaf and real blind to the stark similarities. So in youth, and youth is not limited to adolescence or young adulthood. I'm talking about everything prior to what's generally considered retirement age. But in the earlier parts of our lives, most of us operate with some type of reckless abandon. We don't take good care of ourselves. And some of us are even bold enough to say things like, well, we all going to die someday and I'm going to die happy. Or the one that'll live in infamy, YOLO. And it is your life. And you have every right to live it the way you choose. But one thing's for sure and two things for certain. In the age of information and hyper-accessibility to information, ignorance is a choice. Meaning, a lot of us are choosing to not tap into sound information because it doesn't endorse the lifestyle we want to live. We want to eat things because they taste good, but we do no real research as to what the nutritive value is. Some of us do research and slide right past all the data that says we shouldn't do a thing and become a whole archaeologist trying to find information that'll support us continuing a thing that we see and feel is not benefiting us. We listen to the music with the most negative and toxic lyrics. We go to sleep with the TV on, even after decades of being told and shown the power of suggestion and the power of the subconscious mind. We justify it and say, oh, but I just need some background noise and I'm not really paying attention to it. And while you're right, your conscious mind isn't intentionally aware of what's being consumed, but the subconscious mind is taking it all in. The information is and has been available, but we pay no mind to it because the pleasure of doing the thing supersedes the inconvenience of doing something better. That's probably different than what most or everyone around us is doing or requires additional steps. When I initially started composing this, I thought this would just be about how so many blame old age, aging, getting up there for what's happened to them. But as I thought about it further, I realized this episode is really about choices. I decided to do a dictionary deep dive so we can really talk through what we need to work through. And for those of you who are wondering what happened to the dictionary definition soundbite, my iPad is holding it hostage and won't let me use it. So until I make that trip to the Apple store, y'all just gonna have to revel in the memory, okay? But decision, according to Merriam-Webster, and that'll be our source for all of the words we define today, is as follows: a determination arrived at after consideration. That's definition 1B. Choice, as a noun, which is the context we need, is defined as 1, the act of choosing, like selection. 2, power of choosing, option. 3A, the best part, cream. B, a person or thing chosen. 4, a number and variety to choose among. 5, care in selecting. And 6, a grade of meat between prime and good. That's really outside of what we need, okay? But when we get down to the synonyms, there's a guide present to help you select the right synonym for choice. Now, I know this is nerdy, okay? Just stick with me. It's only going to be about another 2 to 3 minutes on this section. Then I'll tie it all in and class will be dismissed, okay? Choice, option, alternative, preference, selection, and election mean the act or opportunity of choosing or the thing chosen. Choice suggests the opportunity or privilege of choosing freely. Option implies a power to choose that is specifically granted or guaranteed, right? Like the option of paying now or later. Alternative implies a need to choose one and reject another possibility. Preference suggests a choice guided by one's judgment or predilections. Selection implies a range of choice, right? A varied selection of furniture. Election implies an end or purpose which requires exercise of judgment, like doing a tax return forces certain elections on you. Our final word for today is mistake. The noun form is defined as 1, a wrong judgment, misunderstanding. 2, a wrong action or statement proceeding from faulty judgment, inadequate knowledge, or inattention. And inattention is simply failure to pay attention. It is not synonymous with disregard. What's the point of all of this? A lot of us have the privilege of choice. We have options. We make elections based on the selection and our preferences. Do we always like the options? No. Do we always think the options are great? No. But we can choose. And a lot of us are making poor decisions because we don't like the alternative. If the choice is mushrooms or Wagyu steak, people raised on meat will almost always choose the Wagyu because they don't like or desire the alternative, not because there is none available. So now that they've been making decisions, which are determinations arrived at after consideration, based on the available options, based on the selection present, the alternatives, and personal preference, now that they've played with no long-term strategy, now when their body is turning on them, which in so many cases is false, because the body is simply now showing signs of the wear and tear that come with YOLO, and we all gotta go somehow, someday, so I'm gonna do what makes me happy. They did what made them happy then, and now that it's not faring well for them, now the conversation is, I've made some mistakes in my life, and that too is false. You've made some decisions throughout your life, and this is the sum total of it. And we all know that isn't the case for everyone. And there may be genetic predispositions and markers and things that were correctable had they been caught and addressed early on. But all these newly qualified geneticists walk past the fact that there were often alternatives available, but the alternatives may not have had the same appeal. We choose what appeals to us and then blame whatever else outside of our choice for our bodies, our relationships, our lives not responding the way we wanted them to. Consistently eating fried foods isn't healthy, period. It's not only unhealthy if you're eating fried chicken and fried pork chops. Are fried mushrooms fried in high quality oil and a cast iron skillet, breaded without using egg and using an ancient grain flour, a better choice? I mean, if you're not eating fried mushrooms 2 to 3 times a day, 4 to 6 times a week, because while the protein may have a higher quality nutritive value, the oil still has the potential to clog up your arteries. Do I know the man in the elevator? No. Was he supposed to wear glasses but didn't like them, so he strained his eyes further? Oh no. Does he watch TV in the dark, even though they've been saying that's harmful to your eyesight since the 90s? Couldn't tell you. Is there pressure on his optic nerve or any other host of ophthalmic or neurological issues going on in his life which aren't diet-based? Very possibly. So then how does this circle us back to anywhere? Because he didn't think aging was that much of a privilege because of all of the things that come along with it. But some of the things that come along with aging come from poor or irresponsible decision making, that when we had all these different choices available to us, instead of choosing what was better or best, we chose what we chose and we laughed off the rest. And some of us are now in our late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and we're still carrying that same torch. We're still waving that same banner. We're still making poor decisions while we look at people hobbling and limping around us, right? We smoked right through the truth commercials. Some of us know cancer patients and have gone to treatment with them, but eat carcinogenic foods and continue to buy products with the California Prop 65 warning on it. We use lotions and potions because we like the way they smell, but we don't look up any of the ingredients that we can't pronounce and can't identify. We won't do a quick internet search to see if it's toxic. And then when someone suggests that we do, we defend our decisions by saying that everything is toxic, everything is poisonous, you might as well live your life. Instead of doing the work to hold some of these companies accountable for making toxic products or lobbying for changes to the FDA since they're the ones allowing it. Aging is a privilege that many don't get to see. Some of us are at a place where we've done significant damage, but by making better decisions, and while you may have to start small, the goal is to start with baby steps and then make runner strides, not to keep making baby steps for the next 5 years, doing the barest minimum so you can say you made changes, but not actually do enough to effect change. But by making better decisions, we can change the trajectory of the rest of our lives. Now, will there possibly still be repercussion from the decisions we've already made and the actions we've already taken? Very possibly. But it doesn't have to be as bad as it can be if we take the initiative to do something about it. Aging is not punishment for living past the years where you didn't feel the damage you were doing. It's the normal progression of life. There is no reason for us to begrudge it, and that includes if you're doing all the things and something still goes wrong. I've done plenty right and watched the thing go kablooey pow pow. And yeah, I was crushed. Yeah, I was angry because if I didn't do anything wrong, then why did this happen? But were there things I did that I dismissed because I didn't think it was a big thing? We've talked about that in a previous episode. And had I known then that it would have contributed to it going this way, I wouldn't have done it. Yeah, well, probably, because don't we all? Until we find out that the right things and the wrong things work together. Until we remember that all things working together for my good includes the things that worked against this thing working out, because this thing wouldn't have actually served our ultimate good. Don't miss that. Until we remember the butterfly effect that we talked about way back in season 2. So we know if we went back and changed one thing, it would change everything. Also, until we're ready to really be honest with ourselves and hold ourselves accountable to the fact that even when we were kids, there was plenty that we knew and ignored. So if I knew then what I know now goes out the window, because we always knew a peach was a healthier option than those the little gelatin peach rings. Huh? We knew we should have had the apple instead of the sour apple blow pop. And we made conscious decisions to sate our palates and flood our bodies with sugar because we wanted to. Now, we can't get any of that back because all we have is now. But now is all there is. But passion, if all we have is now, then I should be living it up and eating and drinking and smoking and poking and doing the things because this may be the last time. You could do that. And that would be your choice based on your decision making and rationalizing. But 30 or 40 years from now, don't blame aging like you didn't know your body breaking down from years of abuse and mistreatment was a possibility. Don't blame aging because your body is experiencing the metaphysical impact of your poor emotional management. Don't blame aging because you see people others can't, and they won't leave you alone because you have some spiritual attachments that you can't clear. Don't blame aging because you're having mental health crises when you refused mental health treatment. Like, yeah, aging has its contributing factors, but it's not all because of aging. It's more because of the things we take for granted or don't take accountability for. Because just like y'all love to talk about the elders that you know that are 157 years old and still standing and they ate and drank and lived all crazy and now they're pill dependent, there are elders that are 157 years old that don't require a pill, a walker, a cane, a home attendant because they didn't live all crazy or because they got their wake-up call and they answered. Passionists, I know we covered a lot today. And truthfully, we could have covered more, but I'll save it for another episode, okay? I'm gonna let you rest and rise like dough. But talk to me. Let me know how you feel about what we discussed. Comments, questions, concerns, commendations, criticisms, or critiques, they are all welcome. I am getting better at responding to comments in a more timely manner. Other things are suffering, but we'll deal with that another time. Listener letters can be sent to mybrilliantfriendpassion@gmail.com. Whether you're viewing or listening on your preferred podcast platform, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, share. Help me, help others, help themselves. If you would like to be a financial contributor, donations can be made via Podbean, PayPal, Cash App, Linktree, or Zelle. All the links are in the description box. Every little bit helps. It all goes back into the pod. You Get You Right Guru is signing off, y'all. Go forth, be great, be filled with bliss, be armed and empowered with knowledge. Meditate on what you've heard, passionates. Think about it. Age and aging aren't the sum total of the problem. Your decision making is. Just because you call a bad decision a mistake doesn't lessen the responsibility or your accountability. And now that you know the difference in their definitions, you know that they're not synonymous. Call it what it is and govern yourself accordingly. In all things, be passionate. See you later.